Hello, and welcome to Legalbytes. If you're new here, my name is Alita. I'm a lawyer licensed in California and DC, and on this channel, we explain the law one bite at a time. We don't give legal advice, but we do talk about how the law works and try to look into our crystal ball to see how things might turn out. If you're enjoying this on YouTube, we'd love it if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends, all the great YouTube-y stuff. And if you want to listen while out and about, we're now offering our live streams in podcast form where you can leave a rating and review. Links are in the description below, as well as to our clips channel where you can find some of the best clips taken from our live streams. Otherwise, if you want to catch me elsewhere, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so on Locals, Patreon, or by becoming a YouTube member, or by buying some really awesome Legalbytes merch. Again, all links are in the description below. And with that said, let's get into it. All right, welcome. Happy Friday afternoon, and I guess on the East Coast for most of the United States, I suppose. How are you, Jeremy? How are you doing?
I'm doing exceedingly well. It was a very busy news week, and it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the weekend.
A lot of stuff to cover. I know we've all been talking about Will Smith. I know that
Mm.
I'm pretty sure you've been talking about that as well on your channel. What else? What other kind of stuff have you been covering?
I mean, I don't know what anything else going on. I mean, I think that I think I've done multiple videos every day about various, little wrinkles that are happening. I mean, we also had probably the worst reviewed Marvel movie in history come out this week in Morbius. And then obviously everything going on
Yeah.
with Disney. They just said today in a little interesting legal bite for you. Ron DeSantis now basically saying, "Hey, those special considerations we gave you in back 50 years ago that basically allows Disney to run as its own like mini government.
Ooh.
Well, if you want to play politics, maybe we'll talk about revoking those, which would
Oh
mean that
boy.
Disney would then have to, uh, you know, answer to Orange County instead of Orange in Florida. People think Orange
Yeah.
County in Florida, but the
Which
county.
the other Disney theme park is also in Orange County, but
Yeah,
in California.
yeah, right. So I mean, that's actually super. That's kind of a nuclear response, and I'm here for it. So I don't know what it
Oh
necessarily
man.
means, but there's tax breaks, there's all sorts of stuff that
Yeah.
Disney basically operates as its own government there. So taking that away would be a spicy response.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's not unheard of for local governments to do against Disney when they decide that they've just had enough. Like for example, my people sometimes ask me about my medals that are on the wall. Half of
Mm.
those are from Disney half marathons because they used to have the Disney half marathon in Anaheim, right? You would run through Disneyland. It was really fun. It was like one of the most fun half marathons I've ever run. Um, but they had issues with Disney using and abusing their local police force and not paying for overtime and all this kind of crazy stuff. So the city of Anaheim finally was like, we're not renewing the contract. You can have your half marathon elsewhere. It can't be here.
Yeah, yeah. I don't hate it. I mean, I imagine that they're given every. It's like I'm sure that Disney themselves don't contribute a lot. It's the people that come to Disney, that they make their money, the cities make their money off, but
Yeah.
Disney as a corporation probably isn't one of those big payers in the counties or municipalities where they sit. So people probably get sick of them.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know what they do for the local taxes and whatnot. But I do know that local governments, local populations can sometimes get pretty annoyed if either they're like really big fans and they like to go to. I can speak for my experience with Disneyland. They either are just annual pass holders, they love to go all the time, or they're like, I don't like what's going on here with a bunch of this other stuff that's going on. So anyhow, well, that's cool. That's some potentially big news coming out of Florida.
Yeah,
So
that's that. I mean, that's a potential like nuclear response. And
Yeah.
I strongly suspect that Disney's gonna probably just chill on their activism right now.
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
well, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe hopefully not, because it'll be a lot of good videos for me. But you know,
And this is to be clear, this is in response to the anti-grooming bill, which other proponents call it the anti-grooming bill,
yep.
opponents call it the don't say gay bill.
Never heard of that.
What's that?
Never heard of that. Only
The
all
what?
I've ever heard of is an anti-grooming bill.
Oh,
Never heard of.
I've heard of people over. Oh, of course.
I'm joking.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
April Fools.
Yeah.
Speaking of April Fools, welcome to the feed stream. I'm just kidding. I really should be careful with that, because I mean, some people will talking about Kyle Rittenhouse, because you were one of LawTube's. I like to call them squibs if they're not lawyers, but they're like sort of like
Sure.
in the universe, in the LawTube universe. But you were one of the people that were on the stream. You were our local Wisconsinite.
Yeah, right.
To help with the whole cultural aspect and whatnot. Like, what does the local what does the local culture say about this whole thing? So that was really great having you last time. So I wanted to bring you back, because I know you like to comment on this kind of stuff on pop culture and Hollywood and Me Too stuff, all of this kind of cancel culture and whatnot. You've been talking about a lot of it. You've done some videos yourself on this particular lawsuit, the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard lawsuit, which to me, I feel like I'm much more recently initiated into it, but I've been like drinking from a fire hose for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
To try to really get up to speed on it. But what are your, or I guess I could ask you, like, what were your first thoughts when you first heard about allegations that Amber Heard was bringing against Johnny Depp?
Well, I think covering Hollywood like I do, I was already immediately aware that Amber Heard had previously been arrested for striking her last partner, which was a female. I don't remember her name, but I'm sure Amber doesn't either. But the the whole Me Too movement basically made me immediately question any sort of allegations or claims that were being made, because it was a marketing shtick for a lot of it. Like, sure, Harvey Weinstein was a legitimate piece of garbage that kind of got outed by Me Too, but other than that, like
Larry Nassar is another one. That was another really, really bad one.
Yeah, right. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
So
he's been in jail for a while, I guess.
Forever. Yeah. But like, all after Harvey, all these like, and then you like the following. So I'd already been desensitized to it. Like the following, oh my God, I was basically sexually assaulted, and then it turns out, oh well, it was, he said she should smile more or something like that. So that there were a lot of I was skeptical, to say the least. When it's just like I always say, if you are telling me you've been abused, this goes for men or women, if the first time I'm hearing about it is in a twit longer or a blog post, I don't believe you. Like, I don't believe you. I could be wrong, but if the first time I hear about it is, in a way that's a public statement, I automatically question like the way that she went about it. She penned that article back in 2018 that did everything but name Johnny Depp. And then, anyway, sorry. Yes, I was very skeptical, I'll say.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's I will say that for my part, I also am, anytime there's just a very sudden like wave on Twitter or Instagram or, wherever, where all of a sudden things just change overnight, I am always very skeptical too, because you do feel this almost like a social pressure to participate. And it's like, if you don't participate, then there's a question of why you're not participating. And so for me, I feel a lot of anxiety personally when those kinds of things happen, because I'm like, okay. Do I believe in what they're doing? Well, okay, what do they believe in? Or what do they say that they believe in? What is their messaging? Is that clear? I don't really know. Can I figure it out? Is there somewhere to find it? But it's, if it's like something of a grassroots sort of movement or campaign, it's not always clear what exactly it is that they're standing up for or whatever, you know? And so, and I remember the Me Too hashtag specifically on Twitter and elsewhere when it was happening, just kind of watching it and starting to see people use it for when they were assaulted and harassed.
Mhm.
And then seeing other people being like, what is this? What is this hashtag? And then people saying it's for people that were assaulted. So not just like it wasn't for people that had been harassed. So their impression was everyone that is using this has actually been assaulted more than, and either one is bad, but it's one thing to get derogatory comments, walking down the street or in your workplace, also terrible. I've experienced it myself. I hate it. It sucks, but on the other hand, it's far, far, far worse to actually be touched by someone in an inappropriate way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought immediately with any time because victimhood is a currency, anytime there's available currency in victimhood, it brings everybody out. So early on, like what Harvey Weinstein did was deplorable, disgusting. He's a piece of garbage. There are many more in Hollywood that didn't get outed for various reasons, but but like it starts out like that, where it's like, oh man, okay, good. It turns out that this person is a piece of garbage. But then right, then it was like, "Oh, I was at a look, I don't care if this comes out slimy, it's just the reality." Then people were using the hashtag and saying like, "Oh, I was drinking at a bar with a bunch of other people, and we were all drinking, and one guy, like, put his hand on my ass. Hashtag me too." It's like, okay, like, yeah, you shouldn't do that, but, like, are you really a survivor? Like, are we really I mean, I know, whatever. I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm just saying, like, okay, so then when I see it used for that, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop paying attention now," because, like, people do
Yeah.
stupid stuff when they're under the influence of alcohol. It doesn't make it okay, but, like, some guy telling a girl that she needs to smile more or whatever, yeah, it's creepy and it's not okay, but you weren't sexually assaulted, and, like, I don't know. I saw too many people trying to, like, make it about them and try to build careers off. And by the way, let's not forget the numerous men that were falsely accused by Me Too and had it ruin their careers.
Yeah.
Several of there were men that committed suicide over it.
Yeah.
You could look at Chris Hardwick. They tried to Me Too him, and like he almost lost everything.
Yeah.
At the height of his career when he was hosting all the Walking Dead stuff and there were people that still believed it. How about Andy Signor? Another guy, he created Honest Trailers. He had an affair on his wife. Fine. Okay. I literally don't care. But the thing is, they Me Too'd him even after he brought out, he had all the receipts and he's still a pariah. So
Mm.
once I saw Me Too get weaponized, I was
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And it's interesting that you said the victimhood is a currency. It's so true. I mean, it really is. And that's when, I mean, it's if you're looking at it from like a very objective kind of policy concern like level, that you want people to not feel shamed for being a victim when they are actually a victim, but you
Mhm.
also don't want people to be overplaying the experience that they've had either. Like there's also this question of like when someone has gone through something that has emotionally impacted them somehow, there's, the idea that everyone is entitled to their own subjective emotions, but then objectively, is that something that is worth raising hell, because of, are you just overly sensitive, or is this something that is objectively outrageous, if that
Yeah,
makes sense?
yeah, no, I mean, I do. Well, the thing is, the anything that's powered by the internet only has one level, and it's like objective outrage. There is
Mhm.
no big deal on Twitter. Like these, it's a place that is populated by lunatics. I've been like actively spending less time on it.
Yeah.
Like I saw your DM, and I'm like, I wonder if she thinks I forgot about it. But like I'm like actively not like,
Yeah.
engaging with Twitter nearly as much,
Yeah.
and I'll probably just leave it entirely by the end of the month because it's like it warps your perception of, like, what actually matters. I talk about
Yeah.
this kind of stuff all the time in my videos where I'm like, hey, like I know my viewers are like 95% men, okay? And I know that they're between the age of like 20 and 40. All right.
Mhm.
So I tell them constantly, like, bros, join a bowling league, join a darts league, play pool, join a trap shooting league. Make sure that you're not spending all day on the internet.
Yeah.
Get out there and talk, touch some grass, talk to regular people because it's two different worlds entirely. And if you spend too much time online and you don't like have that grounding, I talk about that like I'm in a darts league. I'm not very good, but I value the time that I get like being grounded with people who like, like just regular freaking people who don't spend all day online. Like people that
Yeah.
I love hearing people tell me about how crappy their day was installing tile. Like, I'm genuinely interested, like, tell me about it. Tell me about grout. Tell me about this because like, oh my God, it's so nice to hear like regular complaints from
Yeah.
regular people. And like,
Yeah.
that's how I've ingratiated myself with a lot of old timers at the pub. Like, I'm just like, dude, tell me about why the price of conduit going up sucks so much. And tell me about that. And like, I love hearing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, and being able to talk to people that are just sort of in a different daily world is really, really helpful because I mean, for me, I'm overseas. So when I shut down my studio and I walk outside, there are English speakers, but there's not that many, like I'm
Mhm.
not in the United States, it was most apparent to me when when the Kyle Rittenhouse trial was going on and we had 100,000 people watching these live streams. And then I'd be like, okay, I've got to take the dog out, run outside and come back inside. And I go outside and I'm like, there are not 100,000 people watching me right now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this
yeah.
is a very different, like very different situation that I like, it's nice to be able to sort of pull yourself out of that because it's like, it's real, but it isn't.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, I totally agree that there are some very good things and there are some very bad things about being plugged into the internet. I mean, obviously, it gives us the opportunity to connect with people, but it also gives us the unfortunately the opportunity to connect with some very bad toxicity as well. Um,
Yeah, you don't wanna
so
consume too much of it. I think that that's, you know, dopamine, hit of being on Twitter and getting likes and retweets and stuff is super toxic, and, like, as I'm getting older now, I'll be 39 in, like, a week. I see that, like, man, I'm really addicted to Twitter, like, and it's so dumb and pointless, and, like, you know, I don't even post my videos there anymore, and I just sort of like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I don't need this pointless thing in my life," and so
mm.
it helps, provide some perspective or some grounding, which is, important these days.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And getting out into nature is also really great. I know that
Yeah.
you often post photos of like your dogs out in the snow and whatnot.
Mhm.
It's great. So it's I highly agree, completely echo all of the things that you're saying about being able to unplug from time to time and get out there, get some grass under your feet,
Mhm. Yeah, it's
and
important.
yeah, yeah, and see the sky above your head. Look up at night and see some stars.
Mhm.
When's the last time anybody did that, right? So,
Every night for me, but yeah.
oh, well, that's
I don't live in
awesome.
the city. It's
Yeah,
it's
that's
funny to me, like, if you live in the city, you can't. Like, a
yeah,
lot of big cities, you don't see the sky very often, but,
yeah.
I live out in the middle of nowhere, so, yeah.
That is one of the benefits for sure.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that well, maybe not awesome, but like the what I was going to say about your kind of your initial skepticism is definitely interesting, and I share that skepticism, especially because I always feel like there's like somebody is benefiting from my participation in this and I'm not entirely sure that it's me.
Yeah, and, like, to be clear, like, I'm not saying I automatically think they're a liar.
Yeah.
I just think I automatically think there's way more to the story. Like, there's way more than we know.
Yeah. And also like the messaging of the movement matters and people pretend like it doesn't. Like this idea that believe all women is something that doesn't mean believe all women is
Yeah.
is I don't know. It's just it's not right. Like we have words matter, and the way that we use them matters. And
Well,
the
anytimes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say that the motto for believe all women should not have been believe all women, because it started off with situations like Larry Nasser, where you
Mhm.
had women that were and parents that were trying to make complaints for years and years and years. And there are so many young women that were just horribly abused by that man. That it's like the motto should have been like listen and investigate instead of listen and
Yeah.
believe.
Anytime somebody's telling you to believe somebody with at face value, like you know that you're being worked. Like it's just you can trust but verify might be the motto that I would have used
Mhm.
something like because then it was like, and by the way, then the first liar that gets outed destroys the whole movement.
Yeah.
It's just like when I talk about these free speech, these idiotic alt tech networks that are like, we're a free speech platform. No, you're not. You literally can't be. And when you say that, getter, then everyone's going to come out and say, well, I can't spam the N word. I can't say, oh, the little hat people. I can't do this. I can't do that. And like, it's just you set yourself up. Oh, you have a terms of service? I thought you said you were free speech. Just, and it's like, if you speak in absolutes, then it's
Yeah.
it's you set yourself up for disaster.
Yeah. Because realistically, I mean, just a study of the First Amendment and the case law that has come down for just the First Amendment, the clauses on free speech, like never mind religion and the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, like just on whether or not you have the right to say certain things, or the government has the right to make you say certain things, or like there's so much case law that the Supreme Court has looked at in terms of speech that it is so complex to fully understand where the line is on what the government can and cannot do in certain circumstances. Some it's super easy, but so when we're talking about a social media platform that says, yes, we want to govern a whole community of people, and we want to tell them to say exactly what they want ever for the entire history of this platform. So it's a lot harder to live by than to actually just say that.
Yeah, and by the way, I see someone in chat mentioned that Johnny Depp wasn't a part of Me Too. It actually definitely was. I mean, Me Too started late in 2017. The article that Amber wrote was in 2018. Um, I think that it was certainly propped up by the Me Too movement. By the way, side note, everyone involved with it has like quit or left in disgrace because there's all sorts of questions about the leadership. If you look at money was exchanging hands. I'm not exactly sure. There's a couple articles I read that like there was um there was their leadership is all corrupt. I'll just say that, and
Mhm,
they like
mhm.
disbanded not that long ago, if I remember correct. But anyway, yes, it definitely was part of Me Too.
Yeah, no, I think that it the story of this lawsuit has to be told in that context, because it doesn't make sense if you take it out of that context. I mean, that was the whole, yeah, like the whole article with the ACLU's involvement. They
Yep,
essentially wrote it for
they
her.
marketed it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So,
that's when you start peeling the layers away, and you're like, dang, like this was a like, and at the time, I don't know if you can hear my dogs barking, but there must have been a leaf in the driveway, so they'll
oh,
whatever.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm used to it,
Yeah. But I think that when you looked at that, it was like, wait a minute now. Did Amber Heard use this as like a way to build cachet? Because like her whole case, by the way, fell apart, and those the audio recordings came out, and she's just like a monster who's basically like, yeah, I hit you, you little bitch. Like that's basically how she was talking to him. And like Hollywood's just like, no, this is cool. That's cool. She's not abusive. Now, I just so everyone who's watching knows my position is that they are both garbage humans, and they both probably did hit each other. But
mm,
like only one side of that has gotten any kind of repercussions, which is why I support the lawsuit that I also don't think he'll win. Just so everyone
mm,
knows where I'm at on
interesting.
the whole thing. And what it's like an impossible lawsuit to win. He already took a huge L in the UK, which we can say doesn't factor in here in the United States, but from a
Well,
go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, the from what I've been learning about that judge. Oh, well, first off,
That
it
judge
wasn't
is
a
a
jury trial. Yeah,
I
yeah.
know the judge was he had some curious connections, I'll say too.
Yeah, well, even without getting into those curious connections, there's the decisions that he made. Like, for example, the fact that he just was like, there were issues with the expert witnesses. And Johnny Depp's side basically needed more time because of hurdles that Amber Heard's side threw in at the last minute. Which technically she wasn't a party to that litigation, but it still was, there was some sort of involvement there. But basically, Johnny Depp's side, needed extra time to work out these issues related to the expert witnesses. So the judge just said, okay, no expert witnesses, no extra time, just we're going without expert witnesses, which to me is insane when we are
Yeah.
talking about medical injuries, psychological injuries that are alleged, like all kinds of things like that, that like need to be analyzed. Like you're going to have a lay person analyze the development of a bruise over time, and especially like the movement of the bruise on
Yeah,
various
that
parts of
was
the face.
convenient. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think well that judge never wanted to award Johnny Depp anything. He never was going to
Yeah.
give Johnny a fair shake. The law in the UK is not as stringent as it is here in the United States, which gives him some chance. But I am so I mean, it's we already know basically everything that's gonna come out, basically. And the judge yesterday ruled, that Amber Heard can use the state's anti-slapp statute, which I don't know how that affects things. I guess you could probably explain that better than I can.
Well, she can use it as a defense. It really like there Virginia's anti-slap. So for anybody that is watching that isn't familiar, SLAP stands for it's SLAPP stands for Strategic Litigation Against Public Participation. It's basically where you make an anti-slap allegation where you think that somebody has filed some kind of a lawsuit that it somehow infringes usually on your First Amendment rights, either through protest or speech or filing litigation yourself. Like I've seen, there's one case that I remember my firm successfully won out on that we had filed
Humble brag.
a what's that?
Humble brag.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, but it was exciting because we got this entire thing dismissed. Now this was in California, which has a very strong anti-slap laws. So it was the law was really on our side here. But basically our client had filed a petition to remove a trustee because the trustee was basically stealing from grandma. And so we were worried that they were going to also steal the house that grandma was living in by transferring it over to themselves and then sell it somehow. So what you do is, in order to prevent that house from being sold, is you file what's called a lis pendens. That basically, like, anybody that's searching title has noticed, like, oh, like this is not going to be, like, you can't sell this at this point right now until that's cleared. So
Hmm.
anyhow, the opposite side tried to argue that by filing a lis pendens, so basically putting a cloud on title on this house, that was illegal somehow. And so we responded with an anti-slap, it's called a special motion to strike. Anyhow, ended up winning on that, and it's exhilarating when it happens. But basically, her argument in this case against Johnny Depp is that the lawsuit is that the lawsuit that Johnny Depp has filed is a strategic lawsuit against her public speech through, like, the Washington Post and whatnot. She's commenting on the MeToo movement and stuff like that, like public policy kind of stuff.
Well,
Um,
for the normies out there, this is relevant because everything that started this was a 2018 article she wrote.
yes.
So the ruling is being viewed as a loss for Johnny, because that he may not be able to bring up the article in the way that he had previously hoped.
Well, it's not exactly, because she's able
Mm.
to use it as essentially as a defense. And the way that the Virginia law is drafted, it kind of ends up taking a normal case and putting it into the public figure standard of defamation. Now, for a public figure to bring a defamation case, it's a much harder process than for a normal person to bring a defamation case, because a public figure has to prove what's called actual malice. That not only Depp has to prove that not only did Amber Heard lie about him, him being a wife beater, but she did so with actual malice. She did so knowingly, or with reckless disregard as to the truth or falsity of that lie. So, I mean, in a case like this, where it's like something either happened to you or it didn't, like you would know, right?
Well, how I understand it is, though, that her lawyers, because it's a jury trial, will be able to at least argue that to the jury, that she has immunity, but it doesn't mean she does.
Right.
Is that how I understand it? Or is that correct?
They'll at least be able to argue it. It's not the fatality that I think that the media has been playing it out to be.
What?
Are they lying?
What?
I know, right? They're always honest. Always honest. So I think it's and the thing about the anti-slapp statute too, though, is that it doesn't cover it. Like, the defense can't be used for a statement that is a lie. So it's I don't know, it's weird and kind of wrong. So essentially, at the end of the day, they still have to prove the same things, with or without this anti-slapp language in there. They still have to prove the same things. They still have to prove, that it was a lie, that it was, made to third parties, that it was, caused reputational harm, all this kind of stuff. So yeah. But one of the more interesting recent developments in this case is this issue of those photos, because Johnny Depp's side still has not had a full opportunity to go through all of those photos with their forensic analysts to determine the metadata of these photos. Now, we know from the Kyle Rittenhouse trial how important that metadata is.
Yeah.
And especially in a case like this, where it's like those photos were what she used for the public to come to her side with her narrative. So if he doesn't have a proper opportunity to analyze these things before putting them in front of a jury, he needs to be able to know if these are true and accurate in order for them to have the foundation to be used as evidence. So right now there's a motion for sanctions out, where the judge could very well decide that none of those photos can come into trial, which would be crazy for Amber Heard. Crazy damaging.
Oh, you think so? I think
yes.
Okay. I thought you were going to go the other way, thinking because if the photos are admissible, then Johnny Depp can prove they were doctored.
Well, so here's what Johnny Depp's team is asking for. There's three remedies that they're asking for. Number one is of course monetary sanctions, because there's been so much money spent on this whole process.
Yeah.
Number two is basically 2 and 3 are alternatives. Number 2 would be saying that none of the photos can come in at all at trial. So basically, she has zero photo evidence of these actual injuries, and no one can talk about them because they can't be admitted into evidence. And then,
well, I suppose that would weaken her article then. Yeah. Or
yeah.
I suppose, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I see it
for
that way,
sure,
yeah.
for sure. Because the jury would be asking, like, where are these injuries? Like, what? Yeah, like, I want to see what these injuries supposedly were. Or number 3, which I think is probably actually the strongest, or the strongest remedy for Depp, probably the one that they would want the most, is to admit the photos and allow Johnny Depp's team to comment up and down about the fact that they cannot verify any kind of accuracy, to comment fully up and down about these photos, that they are not necessarily what what the other side is saying that they are, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I suppose. I think, I guess they must view the lack of photo evidence as a stronger win than maybe being able to prove. Because to me, like, it definitely is suspicious. Her bruise looks very makeup-y. And like, I guess as like just a different perspective, like, I'm like, that's worse. If I think I can prove to the jury that she faked it, I think that's better for my client, because then it helps go towards malice, Like she's, going and saying, hey, this crazy woman went out and tried to, went even further and
Mhm.
fabricated it. So I don't know. Like, I I just have like, when's the last time we saw any real, defamation W's out there?
Cardi
Like
B.
Cardi B,
She just won
she
big
she did win big against a
against the YouTuber.
YouTuber, yeah, and like, she got a huge settlement against, like, a pleb. Like, it was a lot of money. Wasn't it like
4,000,000.
yeah, yeah,
And that was in punitive damages,
yeah,
the jury was like, "Not only were you wrong, but we hate you."
yeah, that was I think she dropped it,
No,
oh,
no,
she
this
so
was
oh, I'm thinking
this
of
was a this
Bieber.
is an
Bieber dropped it.
actual oh, no, this was an actual jury verdict.
Yeah, I saw the verdict, but I didn't know if I thought I got it mixed up because Bieber went after some women who false Me Too'd him, which good for
Oh,
him. And then, like, he basically just dropped it because I assume they were like, "We don't have any money to give you," and I don't know, maybe he
they
thought
may
he
have
looked better.
they may have settled it or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like, what amount of money could anyone give Justin Bieber to make him feel remedied, you know? But yeah, that Cardi B one is brutal, like, that chick's life is ruined. Like, that's
Well, she now and that one
I
in
don't know what was she
particular
just making up lies? Was that I
so
never heard of I didn't see the case until I didn't hear about any of it until I saw the decision. I was like, "Whoa,
I
$4,000,000."
yeah, I started to follow it when the trial was, I think, either just starting, and I was trying to follow it. It was a federal case, so there were no cameras in the courtroom, but I managed to find some people that were actually there in the courtroom and were giving updates, and it was nuts. Now, I talked about actual malice, and you rightfully say it, it's really, really, really difficult to prove actual malice for any celebrity to win a defamation case, especially against a normal person,
Yeah.
like a non celebrity. Now Tasha K has what, over 1 million
She's not
subscribers
tiny,
also,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, so she's well known for YouTube, but outside of the YouTube world, she may or may not be recognized. Whereas Cardi B is recognized.
Yeah.
Um, but so I started following this, and literally in court as a witness testifying, Tasha K said, "Yeah, I know that what I was saying was probably wrong, and I said it
Oops.
anyway. And oh, by the way, that's my business. That's what I do. That's how I make my money. You
I
guys,
lie? Ooh, yeah, so the
basically,
jury did hate her. Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah. Oh my
yeah."
god, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty epic self-own. Like, that's oh,
And I
man,
think
yeah.
and I think that the reason why she testified in that way, I mean, well, number one,
She's an
it's
idiot?
it's well, well, I mean, if that's the truth, then as the lawyer in that situation, I'd be like, if that is the truth, that is what you're supposed to testify at.
Yeah.
Like, don't perjure yourself. But I think that the reason why she was compelled to do that was because she had said something to that effect on another interview on YouTube. So
Oh,
if she didn't admit to it herself, she was going to get
it would've crushed
impeached
her, yeah. Okay.
completely. Yeah, and it
Oh,
would have
man.
been even worse if you can imagine it. So, but the
For
problem
before I
is
mean, I guess if she has 1,000,000 subs, she might be able to pay that, over some amount of time. I know.
she said she can't, and I don't think Cardi B even cares, honestly. She's just
No.
happy. She's just happy to see her squirm, really.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, she's Tasha K has said that she doesn't have the money for it, and she's filed an appeal. And she has said that she will go all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, which is that, I mean, the Supreme
Not
Court
going to
has
the
to
Supreme
has to,
Court. Yeah.
yeah, of
You have
course.
to
Like,
take your case. Yeah.
yeah, they have to choose your case, and it's only if it's going to be something relatively novel. There is nothing novel about this case. It's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward.
Oh my god. She's just delusional.
Yeah.
I need to look more into that.
Yeah.
That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I personally have gotten into a lot of defamation lawsuits recently. For whatever reason, it's just sparked my interest or my obsession. So that was a really fun one to encounter. And when she got her $4 million from the jury, that was a clear day for her, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh man. So, but in this particular case, I mean, who knows? I think that the even though you have celebrities that are suing, because they're suing people in an intimate kind of relationship, that actual malice part, which is usually what really raises the hurdles that people have to jump over, I think is a little bit less in this case. Because if a jury's going to say, yes, Amber Heard lied in her Washington Post article, they're not going to be like, well, she, based it on something reasonable or something like that. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
she
yeah.
based it on a police report, well, she's the one, like she or a domestic violence restraining order. Well, she's the one that got it. That was based on her testimony. So,
Right.
she would know one way or another if she was lying. So, anyhow, let me get a couple super
Yeah,
chats
yeah.
here. Dragon's Treasure says, "Did somebody say feet stream?" Andy the Game Maker, spoken slowly, deliberately, like Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy from the quartering and +1.
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate you.
Yeah, that's actually my brother.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
fun times, fun times. Hey Andy, how's it going? So, yeah. So this whole thing, but it does seem like there's a slow movement towards of the pendulum, possibly, that might be starting towards the other side, as a result of the overreach, I think, of these movements. So like you have the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard lawsuit. You have Marilyn Manson just filed a lawsuit recently against Evan Rachel Wood.
That one's really
Um,
interesting too because it looks suspicious. Just like
um,
always, there's always more. It's like these people are all garbage. Okay, that's how you end up in Hollywood. There's like maybe um there's like maybe 3 good people in Hollywood. And like it chews people
Keanu
up.
Reeves and two other people.
Keanu Reeves, Chris Pratt, and maybe one other person. And like these, so it's like, when people say like, you know, oh, our relationship was, these people aren't like us. They're garbage. And they're like their relationships are all garbage. Look at Elon Musk. The good dude can't stop having babies with women that he clearly isn't liking. I think he's having babies just because he's like, oh, it's a musician and I'm an analytical genius, so I want to put more babies in. Like these people think differently in Hollywood. Like Amber Heard was hooking up with him. Like, what is
Yeah.
Elon doing? Like,
There's actually a question of so she has a surrogate baby that she announced last
yeah,
April. There's a question now of whether or not that's actually Elon Musk's or
it
something like
probably
that.
is because I
So
mean, he just had another baby with whatever her name was,
Grimes,
Grimes.
was
Yeah,
it?
like
Okay.
so, like, and then like no one even knew she was pregnant, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we broke up. I had another baby." Like these people have kids as fashion accessories, so like they're on a different level. So like anytime one of their relationships gets like brought out like this,
Mhm.
uh, it's just like I just assume they're both at fault.
Mm. Well, I mean, that's batting average wise, you'd probably be above average.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2012 Jameson says you also have the barstool guy. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
Dave
there's that.
Portnoy. They've
Yeah,
tried.
although that one is actually not a defamation case. That one is I went through that complaint. That one is it's like a publication of private information or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Um 2012 Jameson says John Wayne was awesome, maybe dead, but can vote. I
Oh,
don't know about the
John,
vote
like
part.
John Wayne, like the actor John Wayne.
Yeah, although I know that people keep trying to get him canceled because of some kind of racist
Oh, it
comments or
was a
something that he
different
may have made.
time. Like I just, like the same thing. Like my dad still said coloreds, and he didn't think like, he was just what he said. He didn't care. It wasn't like a derogatory thing. And I was like, he's not racist. And I'm just like, Dad, you can't say that. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, like, they're not coloreds. Like, I'm not saying you have to use some like new English, whatever woke speak. You don't have to call them people of color, but don't call them coloreds. You sound like you should be rocking in a chair on the porch. And like, there's just a different time when John Wayne is around. It's not to excuse it, but it's like, come on.
Well, I mean, everything when we're looking back on history too, you have to look at the individuals within the context of the history, within the context of the culture that they lived in. Because it's like to hold people to current standards, it is unfair, I think, because
Well, it's
I
like all these
mean,
people with HP Lovecraft. Every
mm,
time something new comes out, and Hollywood, by the way, loves to profit off the world that HP Lovecraft created.
mm,
Um, and then also they get to double dip and call him a horrible racist. Like, dude was alive 200 years ago, or
no,
100 plus years ago, when like people thought that like the general knowledge about like black folks was garbage, was not good. I mean, not that they were garbage, but their opinions of most black folks around that era, like his opinions were not outlandish for that time. I'm not saying they're okay, but like Hollywood's happy to profit off his products while also saying, well, I mean, you know, he was just the worst. By the way, he also disavowed all of his racism later in life, but they don't talk about that. I don't know how to get on that, but a different time thing. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
they're happy to take advantage of a different time for profit, but then they also like to be outraged
yeah.
by it.
Well, and they'll take advantage of, anyone that they have decided to shun culturally anyway. Also, I mean, if you go to Disneyland or Disney World now, you can probably buy Captain Jack Sparrow
Oh yeah,
collectibles and t-shirts and all that
of
kind of stuff
course.
too.
Did they
I
pull the
mean,
movie? Did they put his movies back in the vault? No, they're all still on, Disney Plus.
yeah, of course not. So it is interesting to see the degree to which they will cancel a person, but then be like, well, we don't have to be affected by that. Like, why?
We can still
Why
make
should?
money off of them. What
Yeah,
do you
of
mean?
course.
What,
But they
what do you,
just can't benefit from it, right?
yeah, it's not like I'm not gonna make money off of them. And the thing is, like, if Hollywood had any, just to bring it back to Amber Heard, if Hollywood had any, let me give you two examples of any, like, if they had any morals or any stick to itiveness or any like, you know, scruples. First of all, Will Smith's Oscar would be stripped. Period. Period. And people say, well, Harvey Weinstein, fine, strip his too. Okay. Roman Polanski too. Get him out of there. But like Amber Heard is a spousal abuser before Johnny Depp was ever around. She got arrested for hitting her life. Did you see one damn article about it? Did you see her losing her job in Hollywood? Did you see any? No. So like Hollywood doesn't give a damn. We had an assault on live television last night, and these clowns, these like orcas stood up and clapped, gave him a standing ovation 10 minutes later. So
Yeah.
it's like that's what makes me so mad. Like Johnny Depp suffered real financial loss. That's one of the big things with like YouTube, like sue him, sue him, sue him. In my world is drama world. I can't really sue somebody if I can't show damages.
Mhm.
Johnny Depp can. He can show that he got fired from that job, which his salary was enormous.
Yes.
Um, so like, that's one thing that I think as a normie, as a squid or squib, uh, that's like one thing that I'm like, okay, this makes it a little different. Like he can point to that job. You can't, and like a lot of these people who get blackballed, they can't do the same. Like proving you're blackballed is very difficult to do. It's why Colin Kaepernick can't prove it. But like seeing him get fired or removed from his role in Fantastic Beasts is something that he can point to, which I think helps him.
Especially the timing of it, because it was like overnight.
Yeah, it was the
Just
next day
like,
after he lost his lawsuit. It was like
yeah.
the next day or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think that Amber Heard is going to try to, well, I know that she's going to, I've seen the exhibit list, her exhibit list that she wants to reserve for the pool of stuff that they want to be able to pull out for a trial. And there's a bunch of reviews of a lot of his movies and whatnot. So what they're going to try to do is to frame it as, before all of this came out, you were already on a decline. You were in Mordecai. You were in,
Yeah.
XYZ, and all
That's
of
a
these
that's
were
a losing
flops.
strategy, I think, because it doesn't matter because he still got paid. Like, he
Yeah.
still gets paid. His film, his little indie film just won an award. I don't know, I didn't see it. Something, I don't
It
know.
was like Minamoto, no, Mina,
Meaning
and
yeah, I
I,
think that's
I've seen it
close.
all over. I've seen it all over Twitter, and I can't. I'm a little embarrassed that I can't remember right now.
Yeah, you're close. I think you're close. But anyway, like,
Yeah,
he
someone
won
in
an
the
award
chat
for
will say
that.
it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
like
he at least got nominated for something. I don't know if he actually won an Academy Award for it, but
no, this is some, like,
Minamata,
French.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, no, I absolutely, Chat says, "I don't like Johnny Depp." No, of course I like Johnny Depp. I back him 100%. I'm just a realist about the uphill battle he's going to have. Now he may be. Here's what I think: Johnny Depp is such a like lunatic. This is a guy that spent, I don't know, what did he say, like $10 million on wine or something in a year, $1 million on wine. Anyway, he's like, I don't think he cares if he wins or loses. If he can publicly drag Amber Heard, I think that's a win for him too. But maybe not. Maybe he really thinks he's going to win.
I think I do think that he wants the win, less so for the money and more so to have a jury of 12 random people to say, yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he cares about the money either. 50
Yeah.
million is a big number to
Mhm.
like normies, but that's probably not that. I think he was getting paid 10 or 20 million for Pirates movies, and he got
Yeah.
cut out of those, and he would have had at least one more of those. There's no doubt in my
At
mind.
least. I mean, he
Yeah.
created that character and that was I stopped watching personally after
Yeah,
a
I did
few of
too.
those because the first one was the best one. By the time we got to Dead Man's Chest, I was like, eh.
He got
But
20 million upfront plus 20% of the back end.
yeah,
So
that's a
he's earned
lot.
more than $300 million.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
And
mean? Like he got 55 million in back end earnings off Alice in Wonderland. So 50 million is actually
probably
not when you
low.
it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing compared to what
Yeah,
he's lost. He
yeah.
would have Disney would have shat out at least 2 or 3 more Pirates movies. No doubt, there's no questioning it. It's they were going to reboot the franchise, but that came conveniently timed when Johnny Depp was canceled. And like
Yeah.
he like make no mistake about it, like Johnny Depp is the only reason anyone goes to see those movies. So I mean,
Yeah.
plus, he's still a A-list actor. He's still
Yeah.
box office. If he does something, people go and see it. So, yeah, he definitely 50 million is like an arbitrary number.
Yeah. Well, and also the other part of it that they're going to have to convince a jury is that uh that the reason why these movies failed was because of Johnny Depp. Because a movie can fail and
Yeah.
the star actor can do everything that they are supposed to do to their best ability and give the best performance possible, but if the direction is terrible, if the story sucks, then it's only going to do so well. So there are so many different parts to putting together a movie that even if the movie flops, that doesn't necessarily mean that by default it means that he did a terrible job in it.
I will go out on a limb and say that no movie ever that Johnny Depp was in flopped because of Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
There's just, I mean,
If there
I
is
mean,
one, I don't know it.
yeah,
And
I mean,
every single
Edward
thing that I've seen
Scissorhands,
him in.
Gilbert Grape, everything he's ever been in is like, he's got some movies like you could say Pirates of the Caribbean movies flop, but that was because of fatigue, franchise fatigue, not because of
Yes.
Johnny Depp.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. I mean, yeah, every single time that I've watched a Johnny Depp movie, um, even if it was like otherwise like meh, I was like, oh, but it's Johnny Depp. He did a great job. He did his usual Johnny Depp job. Johnny Depp job. If I
Yeah,
can talk.
right. Yeah.
um, let me get a couple more super chats. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
I missed this one. Jackson Kai said, Hollywood operates like the mafia. You have to do terrible things to get in. So you are just as guilty when someone wants you to turn on them.
He's right.
I mean, I think that's probably
Yeah.
true in the vast majority of cases.
This is what I always used to say about this is one of my early opinions about like Me Too and like the casting couch.
Mhm.
I know what the correct position is. The correct position is that these men misuse their positions of power and opportunity to sleep with women. And that's not okay. However, many of these women knew that was the deal and willingly entered into it.
Yeah. If
I,
you make a deal with Satan, you're still making the deal.
yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the person who is wrong is the man who is doing that. However, it is incomplete to act like these women just showed up and were like, "What? I, I, I'm totally shocked to hear this, and I'm going to have sex with you, and I'm going to get the job, and I'm going to collect the money, and then 10 years later, I'm going to say that I was taken advantage of." I don't know. It's
Yeah.
the man. To really be clear, so this is going to get clipped. The man, Harvey Weinstein, is 100% wrong and deserves to be in jail.
Yeah.
100%. But also, I find it hard to believe that all these women were unwilling participants. It was a quid pro quo that was on the table that they took advantage of at the time.
Yeah.
It was not right that it was there, but
I
I'm just
mean,
saying they're all garbage people. All
I
of
have
them.
I have I have a hard time I have a hard time saying like just find a different industry, find a different job, because
I know. It's hard, yeah.
if somebody feels like this is my dream is to be, an actor in the motion pictures, and like it's hard to just tell them it's like the,
It's not that easy either. Like, if you spent your whole life, you know, the whole "Yeah, just quit your stuff" is great to say, but I know it's tough to actually,
yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
know
Well, yeah, and then also like if that's just if you feel like you have a calling for that, like so I really sympathize on that level. But I do agree that, to a certain extent we also can't deny women their own agency.
Right,
Like I have a brain, I make decisions for myself. I should be expected to have some amount of responsibility for the decisions that I make, placing myself into certain positions and whatnot. Now, the fact that the framework is there that certain people are forced to make certain decisions in order to get to their dreams is horrible and should be changed. Um, but no, I do agree with you that treat me like an adult. I'm a woman. Treat me like an adult. I can make choices for myself. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
So
just don't know, you know, uh, if people think that there weren't women in positions of power that men had to sleep with to get jobs in Hollywood, I got another thing. But I mean, that absolutely 100% happened. Okay,
yeah,
there are women that like guys like John Stamos and stuff had to bang and they didn't want to. There's just no doubt in my mind but like isn't a thing because men aren't victims. So anyway,
yeah.
they also have to come out and say it. I mean, look what they did to Terry Crews.
Yeah.
Look what
Yes.
he came out and said that this guy assaulted me and they made fun of him.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sucks.
Which that's a really good example, and one to definitely deep dive deeper into at some point, because that was like such a fast like blip, and then like, oh, but we're not gonna investigate this
He's a
really,
big,
like we're
strong
not gonna.
guy. He probably wanted it. He
Yeah.
probably, what is he offended by? Look at his muscles. He can't be sexually objectified or assaulted.
No, exactly. Exactly. Um, Andy the Game Maker says Johnny Depp once got mad at a journalist for suggesting he bought cheap wine. Cheap equals less than $1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude has money. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
He's
Um,
also very bad with it. Not Nicolas Cage levels bad, but he doesn't have the wealth. Like he didn't spend $150 million on a dinosaur bone, but he's not great with it.
well, and part of that um could also be Amber Heard, because I think a lot of those financial troubles started showing up when she entered the scene.
Hmm.
At least that's my understanding of it.
That's where the timeline matches up. Yeah, correlation, maybe not, but or I mean the timelines do line up, but
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, and it could just be that he decided, hey, I have this, beautiful young wife. I want to spoil her, and who cares? And these are all my decisions. And she's just like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna object to anything. Or maybe she was like, we should spend our money on this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Our money.
Our money. Yeah.
Because for some reason they didn't
She's
do a
not that.
prenup.
Yeah, I know. What an idiot. Like and it's Hollywood. Oh my God. The expiration date on marriages in Hollywood is like a year.
Yeah.
Why would like a prenup is just that has to happen. Like
I mean, maybe she was just his midlife crisis.
she absolutely was. She's every guy's midlife crisis. She's Elon Musk's midlife crisis. Why what could you imagine Elon Musk having a conversation with this woman? Like on any level? No, I
I
mean,
think
like, there's no way.
Yeah. Well, I think that was his initial attraction, was because he had heard that she was a fan of Ayn Rand or something like that.
Yeah,
And so he wanted
yeah.
to talk to her about that kind of
I
stuff.
bet he
So,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, I bet he really wanted to sit down and talk to Amber Heard. Come on.
And talk and talk.
Yeah.
Let me get caught up on these super chats. Andy also said Mordecai flopped. I think it did.
Yeah.
In Fantasy I Die says Alita's next 420 vids. My channel is under attack. Kyle Cowden says, wasn't $50 million what Amber Heard got by saying she'd donate it? I don't
It was more than
know.
that. It
It
was,
was
100, wasn't it?
I'm
was
not sure.
the divorce settlement.
Oh no, the
Uh,
divorce settlement was 7 million.
7 million. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she promised to give to the ACLU.
Yes, and she actually I did come across it. There was an interview that she had in somewhere in Europe. I can't remember which country. But she basically no, she said flat out. She said, "I did donate all of it.
But
Have
there's no
to.
receipts for it.
There's no receipts for it. Half to ACLU and half to Children's Hospital of Los Angeles." And that's the part that gets me is like, okay, ACLU, whatever, whatever. But the Children's Hospital, like you're,
And the
you're
Children's Hospital ran cover for her and said like, "Oh, she's gonna get to." I remember when that came out, like she clearly did not give the money. This was like a matter of public record at this point. And then her lawyers came out like, "Well, she's not a wealthy woman. She's got." They're like, "Well, she's gonna do it like eventually." Yeah, my rear. Like, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
I hope they question her about it. I really hope that they do.
I know she gave
Um,
them some money because they showed some receipts, but it wasn't 3.5 million.
but
And
that
that's oh,
even that
oh, 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 hold on. Do you know the giving them the money, the 3.5 million really gets the noggin jogging when you're thinking about how
Yeah.
the ACLU wrote her letter, and then
Yeah.
she's paying them $3.5 million. Like
Yeah.
that's super. Like, why is that not being investigated? Because that is
Well,
super suspicious.
Well, they did a bunch of discovery. They subpoenaed the ACLU in this lawsuit, and
Okay,
I would anticipate that there's going to be some kind of evidence that's going to be coming out at this trial about the ACLU's involvement in that letter, and then her payment or non-payment to the ACLU. There's also questions about whether or not Elon Musk was the one that actually made that payment that
I
she
think it
supposedly
was.
made.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's got I mean, that was like tissue paper for
It's
him.
no money. Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
nothing.
nothing.
It's nothing. So I mean, I would not be surprised at all. So, but yeah, Tammy Fuller, thank you so much for the super sticker. And anti NWO Canada, talk about her losing Aqua too, like Johnny. So has she officially been dropped?
No,
Because I know that there's
no.
delays on it.
There's been a bunch of rumors, but no, she's not dropped. The director's even come out and said, like, no, she's in a movie. Um, which, by the way, I'm happy for. I'm so happy that they didn't drop her because this run up to releasing this movie is going to be the world's brightest dumpster fire. Think about every tweet that they put out promoting that movie. What's going to happen? It's going to get ratioed into oblivion because
It really is.
bots or not, I've seen how the Johnny Depp fandom is.
Yeah.
They're all over it. Every
Yeah.
Facebook post they put up, every YouTube video, it's gonna get demolished.
Yeah.
So good. I
Yeah.
couldn't be happier.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that, and especially because they moved it. Now the timing of when it was supposed to come out like this month, right? In April.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they moved it, so it's not going to be it's not going to be coming out during trial anymore, but it will come out after the verdict.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very, very interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be yeah, I mean, I'm already thinking about how I'm gonna spend my herd bucks, and what kind of outbuilding I want to put on my land because covering the reviews, the user reviews for that movie, oh my, it's gonna be a bloodbath. And like, this is what they signed up for. Okay, you hitched your saddle or your cart to this woman, knowing she beats her wife, she beat her girlfriend, knowing that she's on tape admitting to punching Johnny Depp on tape, admitting to it, and then basically calling him a pussy for I don't know, complaining about it or something like that, or he's a man, he should be able to take it. These things are known, and they
Yeah.
still. This is one of those cases where I could tell you factually, if she was a man, she would have been fired a long time ago, and all I have to do is point to Johnny Depp to prove my point.
Yeah. The only counterpoint to that is Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller will be fired. There's
You think
absolutely
so?
no. Oh my God, yeah. Now he's done because they're gonna put him in some psych camp or something like that. But like he did not that long ago, he choked a fan who was like he like choke
Pretty
slammed
bad.
somebody. Now
Yeah.
this whole mental breakdown, yeah, he's done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Interesting. And yeah, it'll be I mean, I just said interesting already, but it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Because Yeah. And then what's going to happen to Amber Heard after this trial is another question as
Nothing.
well. You think so?
Come on.
You don't think she'll get canceled for
Come
lying?
on. No,
Well,
no chance. None.
interesting.
Unless in discovery it comes out that she said some disparaging things about trans people, she is not getting canceled. She's going to continue to work. Now, she may be in Hollywood, she may be kind of like gray balled. Like she might not get the big roles anymore.
Just sort of slowly pushed
Yeah.
off into oblivion. That's, I think, more likely.
Yeah. Like she's probably got agreements already. I do think that specifically if she loses, like, then we'll just get a bunch of articles about how the US justice system is sexist against women. So, but if she loses, yeah, she won't get the big roles anymore. I don't think she'll be, because I'm telling you, this marketing campaign for Aquaman 2 is going to be a disaster. And everyone else thinking about casting her is going to be like, no way. Like when Johnny Depp fans are going out to the billboards for Aquaman and like putting stuff up like spousal abuse, like they will do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like they're not,
Yeah.
nobody's going to want to touch her.
That's kind of true too, is that like that may be part of the calculus as well. It's like, look, every single time that we try to promote this on social media, we've got a ton of people that give us shit for hiring this person.
Mhm.
So why when there are a million other young
There's a
blonde
million
ladies?
thin blonde ladies in Hollywood. Yeah, exactly. That don't
Yeah, a
have that
dime a dozen.
baggage. Yeah, right. They're everywhere. Even on your screen.
And I'm already, and now I'm getting the spam bots. Great. Legalbytes, can we see some legal feet, please? Please, one time. No.
Just set a number, 10,000. 10 grand, you'll show your feet. Come on. That's 10 grand. And then if they come up with the money, oh well.
Well, if we get more spam bots, then I may need to change this to, we're getting more. I may need to change this to subscriber only chat.
Yeah.
So I may do that. But anyhow, let me get a few while the mods are handling that. Let me get a few more super chats here. Let's see. That umbrella guy has a comic out. And I think this might be a typo in he in case, but yeah, for anybody that I know that a bunch of people watching this probably also follow, and there's a bunch of people from the Johnny Depp, or not Johnny Depp. Yeah. The Justice for Johnny Depp community that are watching, that are also fans of that umbrella guy. He's got a great campaign for a comic book series that he is putting together, and he's done it with his daughter too, which is awesome. It's just a really great overall project. So I will put a link in the description below in case anybody is interested in that, because it's great. I like seeing independent people not just deciding that they don't like something, but then creating a product and saying, well, here's something to like. So it's awesome. Natalie Lewis says $100,000 were sent to each charity by Johnny Depp while they were finalizing divorce settlement, when she threw a fit saying she needed to get the money first. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that little wrinkle.
Yeah,
but that sounds about right.
You could tell me anything about Amber Heard, and I'd probably, well, that's probably true. Yeah.
2012 Jameson says the quartering, you still are not in court documents. Step up your game.
Fine with it. I'm fine with it. Yeah,
that's when I'll know that I have truly made it, is when I've got somebody complaining about my coverage of some lawsuit, and they decide to drop me in some kind of a comment or something.
Legal proceedings are expensive, and I'm very cheap, and I don't want to be involved in any of it, even for the memes.
Yeah. Totally understand that. So anyhow, well, I guess, yeah, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we haven't yet talked about? I mean, we haven't talked about Jussie Smollett. We could talk about him. That was an interesting hoax case that came out, and good Lord, the judge, when he gave his soliloquy at the sentencing hearing, was just absolutely insane. How it almost was like it should have ended with, "And may God have mercy on your soul."
Yeah, that was one of the most fun, emotional roller coasters I've been on in a while, because there was like a moment where I was like, "Wait a minute, why is he gonna let him off here? Because he's really," and then I was like, "Oh no, oh no, no, no!" I like and he just crushed his soul. And then in one of the best rug pulls ever witnessed, he's like, "All right, I'll give you 30 months probation and the first 150 days." And like, he just threw in the jail sentence at the end, and it was
Yeah.
like it was so awesome. Like, I was like, man, he had his moment to shine and he crushed it.
The judge had a better theatrical performance than Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, it
Who
was
is the trained actor?
it was it was one of the, although he did have a pretty good, you know,
Oh, at
uh
the end,
I'm
I
not
have,
suicidal. Yeah, uh-huh.
yeah,
Nobody cares about you, Jussie. No one's gonna off you in prison, okay?
yeah.
Um, the Yeah, it was one of the most hilarious moments I think ever, and he just crushed him, just emotionally picked him apart, and it was a thing of beauty to witness. And he'll never do another day. Side note, that's also my opinion. The only thing I think the court is, because the court, you could see the judge mentioned he was like annoyed that he tied up his court so long with it. Um, Now they're gonna go to appeals. He's gonna tie up the court for another 2 years, and, like, I could see if it's Judge Lynn's still around and it goes back, kicks back to him, I think he's making him go back. Like, he's making him go right back in, he's not letting him out.
Maybe. I don't know. I've from people that are better versed in criminal law details than I am have said that he probably will just get off with time served
Yeah,
at
well,
that point,
eventually, they're gonna wash their
which
hands with
sucks.
it because uh they've got other that's what he's really trying to do, is just wait him out,
Oh
drive him
man.
crazy and, make him forget.
Man, well, a couple more super chats and then we're out of here. Because I know you've got to get moving.
Yeah.
Marcel DeFore says everyone over here simping for legal bites, so sad. So Jeremy, let's see your feet.
It's cost a lot more than $5, buddy.
Claire Flavin Jones says WB are hoping that when the trial is over and time has passed, people won't be attacking no more as it's all over. They clearly
Yeah.
don't know the deptum.
That's right, yeah. They won't forget.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry for staying over an hour.
No, it's
But this
okay.
has
I
been
just I don't know why I had an hour in my head, so, I mean, feel free to keep going after I leave, you know?
no, I think we've got pretty much everything covered. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. So for anybody watching, if you don't already know, I'm going to be live streaming the entire trial on this channel starting April 11th, every single day, Monday through Friday. So Jeremy, if you are interested, you are more than welcome to hop
I'll be
on
tuning
at any
in.
point.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in for sure.
Because I think this one's gonna have some fireworks. It's gonna
Yeah,
be a little cray cray because everything so far has been.
yeah, I'm excited.
So, and I guess one last super chat in. Jackson Kai says, thanks for having Jeremy on and the expert legal analysis as always. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you
thanks for
so
having
much.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.